Joining me now to discuss BTC price and other Bitcoin news is our Week in Review panel. We've got CoinDesk Managing Editor of Technology, Christie Harkin in Toronto, as well as Managing Editor of Markets, Brad Cowan in Austin. Hello there, Brad and Christie. Great to see you.
Hi, Christine.
You too, Christine.
Happy Friday. All right, taking a look at the market spread. We were green to start the week, and Bitcoin was testing the 200-day moving average. Started to decline amid that EU vote I was talking about to clamp down on crypto privacy. Where do we go from here?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, the mood has changed just a little bit, probably in the past week. This time last week, we were really on a bull, powerful move up, and that seems to have slowed just a little bit. In fact, one of our analysts or one of our reporters, Omkar Godbole, was reporting today that coins are starting to flow back to exchanges, and that's usually a pretty bearish sign. It might mean that some people are starting to get ready to liquidate some coins, and also the funding rates on perpetual swaps, which are the derivatives people use to bet on Bitcoin. The funding rates are a little negative now. Yeah,
I saw
so
200 million going into exchanges,
too.
But I was also taking a look at the chart. Year to date, though, it's still pretty low, the amount of BTC on exchanges. And I just wonder, comparing that to all these MicroStrategy, a subsidiary of MicroStrategy, buying up or getting a loan of over 200 million to buy up more Bitcoin, and you have the Luna Foundation Guard increasing Bitcoin reserves. Is that a bullish sign, or has that already been priced in the market?
Well, to the extent that they're kind of known now, what's known is known. Yes, it should be theoretically. I guess the speculation is the MicroStrategy thing. If it opens up a whole new type of finance, really, again, I think we talked last week about this. We're seeing some new use cases for Bitcoin, and it could be that this is a new use case for Bitcoin yet again, like a collateral as a corporate loan. This is a very over-collateralized loan. I think they had a 25% loan to value, as contrasted with, if you got a mortgage, it'd be like 80% loan to value. So, there's a big, they call it a haircut. There's a big, leaving a lot of room for Bitcoin to collapse before MicroStrategy would get a margin call. But yeah, to the extent that you're borrowing against your Bitcoin, I guess that can be seen as, sort of doubling down. It depends on what they do with the cash. Maybe if they buy more Bitcoin, or if they just use it for general corporate purposes. But for sure, to your point, there's all sorts of, on the surface, kind of on the horizon, like little potential additional sources of demand for Bitcoin kind of percolating.
Mm-hmm. I also see that in terms of Bitcoin community, there was a big uproar over Greenpeace and Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen funding $5 million of his own money for this Change the Code campaign. Christy, tell us all about it.
Yeah, it's been kind of, it definitely has been a topic of conversation this week. So the Wall Street Journal first reported on Monday that Chris Larsen of Ripple would be putting $5 million into an ad campaign dubbed Change the Code, Not the Climate, which is set to roll out over the next month. And basically the plan is to switch Bitcoin from the energy-intensive proof of work mechanism to something that doesn't use as much energy, presumably proof of stake, which is what Ethereum is changing to. So with proof of stake, you have validators instead of miners, and validators offer their coins, which is in order to become a validator, you need to stake 32 Ether as collateral for the chance to validate blocks. it's more of a lottery even than mining in a way, than Bitcoin mining. So coin owners with staked coins become validators. The validators are then randomly selected to mine or validate the block. And if you're randomly chosen, then you get the block reward. So this system randomizes who gets to mine rather than using the competition-based mechanism of proof of work. So how is this going to happen? Well, according to Larsen, it just takes about 50 key miners and exchanges and core developers who have the power to make a software change, to which the Bitcoin community has widely responded with a great big, really? Like, really? Not so much. It's not really that easy. So from a tech perspective, this isn't even nearly as simple as Larsen implies. To begin with, switching Bitcoin to proof of stake security would involve incredible risk. And nobody is really convinced that it's going to be even all that secure, because proof of work is the most secure mechanism in order to secure a blockchain. The risk would be so fundamental that it probably couldn't even be implemented with a conventional hard fork, because you are changing the base layer, like you are changing the code of Bitcoin in such a fundamental way. It's not like other code forks where most of it's there and you're just kind of making a bit of an adjustment. This is like fundamental change to Bitcoin. And there's risks of coin splits, and everybody would have to agree. So as Noel Atchison pointed out, truly transitioning Bitcoin to a new model would likely require convincing all of those miners to stop extending a proof of work chain. Miners would have to stop extending a proof of work chain, would have to switch over to not having a proof of work chain. Why would they even do that? They're miners. They've invested a lot in it, and they're not going to just shift over randomly. Also, then we'd have to convince exchanges to stop trading the proof of work coin, the original Bitcoin coin. Probably not going to happen. You'd have to get the nodes validating all of this. And I can tell you, there are not many Bitcoiners who are going to want to point their node at a new proof of stake coin. It's different with Ethereum because that proof of stake has always been part of the roadmap. It was built in order to change. And even then, it took like years to get that shift to happen. Bitcoiners take years to get to consensus on something as small as, well, not small. I mean, Taproot was a major change, but it was something we all wanted in the first place, and it still took 4 years. So I don't see this happening, and not many Bitcoiners do. So that's
it was really interesting. We had a chance to speak to a miner this week, Bitfarms, and we asked, what are the chances that you would ever change the code? And the odds are 0. I mean, it's pretty round across the board that they're pretty passionate about what they do and Bitcoin, and they don't want to change the code to proof of stake. And to that, I would add, we had this massive, the biggest crypto hack in history with the Axie Infinity / Ronin network, over $625 million taken. And we noted that a lot of these hacks happen on DeFi, on these side chains, on these bridges. So there's a lot of trouble that you don't hear so much from Bitcoin per se, because the network is so secure.